If you take politics out of the equation, objectively, the U.S. is doing better than almost every other nation. Politically, however, it's an open debate if Joe Biden will get credit when voters head to the polls. For more on this, here's Rick Smith.
Fastest growing economy of the G7 countries, fastest recovery of all of the G7 countries, lowest inflation rate of the G7 countries, unemployment rate 3.6%, nearly a 5-decade low. Wages are now growing faster than inflation. Things are going right. Things are going in the right direction. We're rebuilding manufacturing. We're doing a bunch of infrastructure. We're doing stuff, getting stuff done, getting good stuff done. Stuff we should have done, years ago. Things that another guy, you may remember his name, weird-haired guy, always tweeted a lot about how we were going to do infrastructure, how we were going to make the country great again. We were going to bring back jobs. Said a lot of words. There were a lot of words. There were words. Now, the words were empty, hollow, and worthless, but there were words. There were lots of them. In fact, we had lots of photos. There were lots of photo opportunities. There were lots of PR stunts, lots of gimmicks, lots of, hey, look at me. Not got anything done. Didn't do anything. In fact, during the 4 years of the weird-haired guy and the tweets, nothing got built. Nothing got done. Jobs didn't come back. We were promised we were going to reshore manufacturing. Promised we were going to save that plant that GM plant in Lordstown, Ohio. Lots of promises. Didn't do it. But there is a guy. There's a guy who I affectionately call Jelly Bucket Joe. Jelly Bucket Joe shows up. Biden the builder doing the work. And I spent a little time over at invest.gov today. And it was one of those things you go, wow, I didn't realize all of the things that we were doing. Spending about $503 billion committed so far. Private investment, about $503 billion to bring semiconductors. Now, we're paying a little bit. I think a small percentage of this is coming from the taxpayer. But look, we need to reshore and fast. But $231 billion in semiconductors and electronics. This is the frontier of the new world. This is what you have to build this stuff. You have to have the capacity. And thanks to corporate America, thanks to our well-heeled, well-funded, well-paid CEO class, we've lost this. And again, I hate to say that we lost it. We know where it went. They took it over to China. They took it over to Southeast Asia because, hey, we can get cheap labor. We can exploit cheap labor, put that exploitation in our pockets. That's what corporate America decided. And they funded a bunch of politicians to help them do it. Now you got Jelly Bucket Joe going, hey, we're going to restore some of that stuff. We're going to bring those jobs back, and they better be union jobs. We're building EVs and batteries, $134 billion in private investment going into that. Clean energy, $104 billion in clean energy going there. 19 billion in biochemicals and 14 billion in heavy industry stuff. We're building stuff. And look, at the end of the day, the virus, I hope, if there was a positive to come out of this, we realized how dependent we are on parts of the world that don't like us very much. We find out that we should probably be building stuff, lots of stuff. And I look at the fact that Biden has done an incredible job, in my view. He really has. Just hasn't done the kind of, hey, look at me. He's Jelly Bucket Joe. He just shows up. He just does his job. The fact that they've added during his term, in the 29 months that he's been president, they've added 13.2 million jobs. Let me say that again, 13.2. I know, but Rick, those were all the jobs that were lost during the Trump years because of the virus. They just all came back. No, they didn't all just come back. You don't just flip on a switch and go, everybody come back now. There's actually a process that goes through this. Now that's more than any president during a four-year term ever. Good on him. And it's because of the legislation that they moved. In some cases, got a minute amount of bipartisan support. So we're calling that infrastructure bipartisan. Not so much. A lot of people on a bipartisan basis want to take credit for it. Think the dumbest guy in the Senate, Tommy Tuberville. But we've got a strong foundation to build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out. We have an opportunity, and again, his words, bottom up, middle out, instead of the other way. There was a guy with slick hair, movie actor, said a lot of lines, memorized the whole term. Oh yeah, Ronald Reagan. The trickle-down stuff, trickle-down doesn't work. We figured that out. I think we figured that out. I think finally we have figured being trickled on, not good. I'm sure there's some people out there who prefer that, and that's their thing. And whatever you do within the confines of your four walls, that is your business. But in economic terms, it doesn't happen. Sorry, doesn't happen. I'm sure there's somebody out there who, like I said, enjoys being trickled on. Economically, it's not happening. There were no rivers of gold and honey. There was no manna from heaven. The only trickle is, well, you figure it out. But here's the thing, and this is where I keep coming back to. The jobs are roaring. Hundreds of thousands of new jobs. A couple 100,000 jobs this month. More people right now. I just saw this weird statistic. The highest level since 2001. I'll get it right. More people 25 to 54 are working since 2021. More women 25 to 54 are working. The highest participation level in decades. Now the right's going to go, well, there are all those jobs with, participation. People are too lazy to work. Nobody wants to work anymore. People are lazy. Well, these numbers are kind of showing, no, not so much. If wages are going up, people are going to want the jobs. And we're seeing that. And it is a good thing. I think it is a good thing. It's something we need. Now, the problem that we have is, and this is the weird part, you look at Biden's approval ratings, and they aren't great. Let's go with that. Not great. The fact that, we had the fastest growth rate of any of the G7 countries. We've recovered faster than all of them. The inflation rate's much lower than all of them. We've done so much better than everybody else. And yet, Biden's economic approval ratings are actually 7 points worse than his overall number, which is not great either. And to me, this should show us that the right-wing media sphere, this is what they're capable of. They flood the zone with horrible. They flood the zone with fear. They flood the zone with total BS. There's a recession coming. Didn't you know there's a recession right around the corner? Every day. When's the recession coming? Bidenomics is going to cause a recession. Bidenomics is bad. And the reality is as they're still doing this, as it's still coming out of their mouth, as they're still wishing and hoping and, in hands, the economy's still steaming along. Now, you go, but, that's not all Joe Biden. No, it's not all Joe Biden. It's his policies. We're investing in stuff. The people who invest in buildings and new startups, they see opportunity because you've got a government that says we're going to help. As I said, I spent some time over at invest.gov, and I highly suggest that you do, because you can go through, and they've broken it down into private investment and public investment. You can see where the private investment is going. You can see, places where, chip manufacturing is happening. You can go to places where, clean energy is being done. You can go to places where, they're building factories. They're bringing jobs back. Or you can go and say, hey, look, I want to see what public infrastructure is being done. How many projects are being done in my neighborhood? And I did. There's several in my neighborhood right now being done to help improve our lives. And I did this thing of, just kind of scaling back to the whole country. And literally there isn't a place. I couldn't find a place where there wasn't really a public sector project happening. Every state, almost every piece of real estate, there's something going on. There's something happening in every state, and especially in the states that voted against Biden, which is weird. Again, the people who voted against him are reaping the benefits. And there's part of me that goes, that jaded part of me, that part of me who could never be president because, I probably would be like Donald Trump and say, if you didn't vote for me, well, you're against me, you get nothing. Because I've always said, if you voted against the infrastructure bill, you don't get anything in your district because you're not representing your people. And maybe the people there will go, hey, we want roads and bridges. Hey, we need infrastructure. We need an airport. We need the work done. We need new sewer lines. We need new power lines. We need broadband access. And yet your representative and my representative, Scott Perry, voted against all of this stuff. And yet in my district, there are things going on where he's going to take credit for. Look how wonderful. Look what I fought for. You voted against it, Scott Perry. And this is the weird moment. And I think this is why Democrats are doing more, I think, a little bit better. And I give them credit. They're trying. This Investing in America website, invest.gov, has some cool stuff on there. I still wish it was a little flashier. Still wish it was a little more interactive where you could, maybe like Josh Shapiro, the governor of Pennsylvania, did, put that live stream on that project that's being built so you can go, hey, let's see what's going on over there. And you could actually see your tax dollars at work and know that. And of course, I would want a giant Joe Biden pointing at it going, I did that, image in the corner.